Flight Pod. You know what it is. You know what we're here to do. Back on screen today, beautiful Austin, Texas. I'm with my boy, Football Critic, rocking the Dortmund jacket. How are you doing today, mate?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me again. And I'm just happy. I'm chilling. A really good Sunday, full of soccer all around the world, La Liga, Germany, England, everything. It's just been, a very nice day.
It has been, mate. Today I woke up, wasn't feeling too well. On Saturday, I took part in a tournament in freezing temperatures. I don't know if that was the best idea, and I think I paid for it this morning. But took some meds, ate some soup, and watched the Real Madrid game, Football Critic. And really, that match had the entire world talking. But we're here today to talk some Austin FC news, some Austin FC updates, everything that's going on. But before we get started, for sure, I want to give a shout out to the Patreon and Discord members. Shout out to Neff, my G Neff. Shout out to all the boys, We're Austin TV crew. Football Critic. Let's see. We can get started off with Danny Pereira, mate. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's get it.
Alrighty, brother. Rolling into the episode, another episode for Top Flight Pod, and we're starting off with Danny Pereira and Venezuela news. Starting off, Danny Pereira and Venezuela are set to play games against Italy and Guatemala for the next FIFA match days in March via My G Football Critic and some Venezuelan media also. The new Vino Tinto jersey will also be revealed in those matches, but I want to get your take on this, Football Critic. What are the details of these matches that are gonna occur soon?
So essentially, the news are out, but it's not federation official. Like the FVF hasn't posted it, but it's whenever like Fabrizio Romano posts something, right? Like it's gonna happen. It is that official, and so Venezuela are going to face Italy, the four-time world champion of the world in the FIFA dates in March in Florida, near Miami, Fort Lauderdale. And then they will come to Houston, to Texas, to face Guatemala once again. Just a little reminder: the last time they played wasn't not long ago, last year, and Venezuela won 1-0. So now Danny, that we have seen him all around saying like, hey, he has the Venezuelan coaching staff talking to him constantly, like they are aware of him, what he's doing, how he's doing, saying that he's got as long as he's fit and getting minutes, he is going to be called up for the Venezuelan national team. So having those FIFA dates in March prior to the Copa America is the last moment for training for that tournament, and then he's gonna be there.
Very interesting note there from my G Football Critic. And of course, Austin FC fans listening to this, it should be getting you excited for what's to come for Danny Pereira, a very promising career ahead of him. Although some of the Austin FC fans out there might say, hey, he's going to be busy, he's going to be away from Austin, he's always going to be called up. And now, since he's been granted the special work visa, it's going to be a huge reality in 2024 for Mr. Danny Pereira. But the news doesn't really stop there, because he was also recently interviewed by Telemundo Deportes, which was, I believe this interview took place in MLS Media, Football Critic. Is that correct? The MLS Media Day?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So in the MLS Media Day was out in Miami. There was an interview with Telemundo Deportes. Danny Pereira spoke to, forget the gentleman's name, but he did a pretty good job with him. And it was a little bit of an exclusive interview, and had a lot of the fans talking on social media, I guess you can say. One of the quotes that he was asked about his expectations for the 2024 season, Football Critic. He said this. Danny says, to have a better season than we had last year. After having a very good season, we had a bad one. So we'll try to have a better one in 2024 and make it into the playoffs. He also had to say this. He said, quote, we need to be focused, know that it's not going to be easy, and have a good preseason since we have a lot of games. That's the goal, to take it game by game. But that's not all the quotes that he said. This one had some fans happy and also some fans kind of upset. Danny also said this, quote, we are new to the rivalries in Texas, so they see us as new. But hey, we already won the Copa Tejas twice. And the other quote that he had to say was this. He said, the Clásicos are great. Each one is a war. I like the games against Dallas. We go all out. Those are the kind of games that I like. So Danny making it known, making it clear that, yes, it is fun to play against Houston. Those Clásicos are also fun. But the ones against Dallas are the ones that he likes the most. But Football Critic, I want to park the bus a little bit and talk about the quote where he mentions the Copa Tejas, because some fans took it very well, and some fans in the comments took it as a joke. And I want to ask you, how much weight do you put on the Copa Tejas? Like, how much importance do you give the Copa Tejas?
Look, to me, Copa Tejas is important in the sense that you always need to beat your rivals, right? So it's a minimum. It's a bare minimum that you gotta have. It doesn't matter the season, it doesn't matter how you are, how bad, how good or how bad you're doing. You gotta beat your rivals. That's a very, very, very minimum of any season in any given year. So to me, is that yeah, you need to win it. That there's no question about it. Regarding the Dallas and Houston rivalry, I found it kind of funny because if you think about it, I guess he's right in the sense that we have beaten Houston without a problem. Hell, his first goal came against Houston at Houston. So
That's true.
Houston is not that hasn't been that big of a problem for ITX. Dallas, though, in 3 years of Austin FC being born, we only beaten them last year, that third year, and it was a 3-0, right? In regular season, I mean. So I guess you could say that that's why Danny found it more challenging, in my opinion. But I just think that it's great for him to say that they are fun, that it's always war, because you know that not only him but the entire team is always gonna come out at those two teams.
For sure. And also going back to that season where we beat Dallas in the playoffs to go into the next round to play against the LAFC conference finals, that was special. That was special too. But it's funny that you bring that up, Football Critic, because he scored his goal against Houston, and he still mentions that he likes to play against Dallas. So I think that actually says a lot. That's cool, man. Now in the comments, Football Critic, fans had maybe a different take. Vanilla Mexican, he says his mindset should be focused more of a winning a hard fought trophy that'll get you a move to a better club rather than a made up Mickey Mouse Cup that you celebrate in a parking lot. Interesting from Vanilla. We had Cochino Adrian say San Antonio FC would like to have a word with you. And then I went to the comments and I said this. I said, we want MLS Cup, yes, but more respect for the Copa Tejas. That's all I'm going to say. But, fans had multiple things to say on it, and I guess we'll leave it to the folks listening to this. If you think the Copa Tejas has an importance to it, let us know. Either add us on Twitter or drop a comment below. But that was Danny speaking with Telemundo Deportes. The interview is on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. You should go check it out if you're interested in there. But moving on to the next topic we have here tonight on the podcast, we're going to talk about Irvin Torres, just real quick, because he signed a new contract with Austin FC2. This is from the Austin FC2 press release. They said Austin FC2 announced the team signed 16-year-old midfielder Irvin Torres to its MLS Next Pro roster. This is his first professional contract. Torres initially joined Austin FC as a member of the academy in 2020, and he became the fourth player from the Austin FC academy to sign a professional contract with Austin FC2. The other ones being Deanda, Micah Burton, and Brian Arellano. If you know, very talented kids. It continues. For his performances with the Austin FC U17 team, Torres was selected to compete in the 2023 MLS Next All-Star Game following the conclusion of the 2023 MLS Next playoffs and showcase. Torres has made 6 appearances for the U.S. U16 men's national team, recording 4 starts and 1 goal. But it really doesn't stop at that level, because Football Critic, we were talking earlier, and we're mentioning how he's been in the U.S. men's national team youth system since he was 15 years old. So it's been 15, 16, and 17 year call-ups for Irvin Torres to the U.S. men's national team. So, Football Critic, any thoughts on this young player, Irvin Torres? He's clearly making his way up. FCito is now his reality, but could the first team be his future of tomorrow?
Yeah, man. I mean, what this news tells me is that academy is doing wonders. That academy is working. It's doing its job, right? And this is even before Rodo came, because this didn't happen because Rodo got here.
Correct.
And we talk about Rodo as the guy who developed a part of Messi and who developed the young teams of Liverpool and Man City. No. This was before that. So Austin FC, if anything, should be proud of having that academy that has a pipeline to ATX2, FCito, and then can possibly go to the first team, like we saw the players do. So I'm happy about that, and the fact that we have U.S. men's national team caliber players also says a lot. So it's not just any
100%.
academy. We have players playing for their country.
100%, 100%. And I think this is something that the club has really put an emphasis on with the players that are coming up through that pipeline. I think was it with Micah Burton, the press release said that the club has a pathway that they want players to follow, and Micah Burton resembles that pathway to 100% because Micah made it from, um, the academy level. It made it to FCito, and now he's onto the first team. So this, just like we mentioned earlier, this could be a pathway that Irvin Torres 100% follows. And just like you said, a U.S. men's national team caliber player. Let's also not forget to mention that there has been call-ups from Mexico to the youth system, to the youth ranks of the El Tri. But Irvin Torres, he chose the red, white, and blue so far. So far, he's been picking the red, white, and blue. But I think he's gonna be a U.S. men's national team player. I don't know. He has that look in his face. I don't know. But all right, we can move on to Damian Loss because Football Critic, he's rumored to sign a new contract with Austin FC. I'm sorry, he's rumored to sign a new contract with Austin FC, yes, and then be sent on loan. So Davide Masi, he's back, everybody. The guy that originally dropped the tweet on Damian Loss a couple weeks ago. He's back with this one. He says, per Davide Masi, Damian Loss will sign a new multi-year guaranteed contract with Austin FC and then be sent on loan to USL side. So that's a familiar preseason opponent, Louisville City FC. Football Critic, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on this rumor? Do you think that it has some legs? Obviously, we heard about it before, but this time it's a little different. What are your thoughts, mate?
I think it's, we can trust this guy. We can trust him. He's proven to be a reliable source. And look, I am and I was part of that group of people, of fans that wanted Lass to get to MLS, right? Because he earned it. He did amazing MLS Next Pro, and he earned that step up to the first team. Here's the thing: we already signed Cleveland. There's no going back from that. That's a reality, and we have to accept it. With Cleveland already on our team, the best next thing he can do is do that. Go to a USL team. That's a step above MLS Next Pro, and it's not MLS, sadly, but it's a step above. And not only that, but he still has to prove that he can be the starter on that USL side, because they got a pretty good keeper. He's not walking in with as I'm gonna be your keeper and that's that. No, he has to fight for his spot. So to me, that's actually pretty interesting because that will clear up that little discussion, little argument that we have about. We know he was amazing in MLS Next Pro, but is he really ready for MLS? Right? We don't know that for sure. It's only speculations.
Some folks will argue yes.
Yeah, and I like I said, I would want him to play in MLS, but we don't know if he's actually ready to be starting in every single game for MLS. So doing this, letting him earn his spot in USL, and if he's amazing at USL, we still win because we still have he still belongs to us. So we still have a great MLS caliber player that we can take advantage of in the future.
Correct. Now, it is important to note Louisville City FC, they are a very familiar preseason side. We've played them in multiple preseasons since the club was brought into MLS. So, and here's a little bit of history, maybe some info on Louisville City that you might not know. They're the USL champions of 2017 and 2018. So not too long ago, this team was winning the USL trip. So big ups to them. And now, Football Critic, you mentioned their goalkeeper situation. Some stats here for them. Semley, hopefully I'm saying that right. 35 matches, 38 goals conceded, 14 clean sheets in the 2022-2023 season. He's their starter keeper. And then their backup, Faunes, pretty much Fagundes without the G. He's had overall 12 matches, 17 goals conceded, and 4 clean sheets overall. Not from last season, but those are his overall stats, right? He didn't really play last year. And just like you mentioned, Football Critic, is he even going to see minutes in Louisville because he's going into some competition there? I think it'll be a great test for Damian Loss to see exactly where he's at, what kind of level he has as a goalkeeper. But I think I side with the folks that he is ready for MLS action. He is ready for MLS minutes, but Austin FC played it smart, and I know for a fact that they don't want to see him go to a rival in MLS. So hey, why not loan him out to USL? give him a new contract, keep him happy financially, and then boom, he's back. Maybe he'll be fighting for first team minutes. What do you think? 25, 26?
Yeah, yeah. Look, the good thing about Laz is that he's still very young, right? So, and he hasn't I cannot put a roof on Laz right now. I cannot see how great he's going to be, which is a good thing. So let him play at USL. Let him do what he does. Let him show up. Let him show us that he's ready. And depending on how well he does, hell, I'll give him that fight for 25. I'll give him that fight for 2026. I'm ready to have him in our club as a solid. I guess he doesn't count as homegrown, but that homegrown feeling of this is my keeper of this is the keeper of Austin, Texas.
Well, shoot. I mean, if we can get him on a homegrown contract, he's not going to count against the cap for a minute. So, roster-wise, that'll make a lot of people happy. But, Football Critic, one more question I have for you before we go on to some media availability stuff. Is this a good move for the club and the player? You know, or is this just a good move for the club and not the player? Does this benefit both parties?
I mean, depends on what other option Laz had. Because if you
Okay.
tell me he didn't have an option for MLS at all, then I will say yes, it benefits him. That USL is better than staying in MLS Next Pro. Now, if you told me that there was an offer from an MLS side for Laz to actually be getting minutes and not just be, a Bersano, a guy who we never saw, uh, then well, that makes more sense. But if not, then I would say this definitely the club benefits from this 100%, but Laz can benefit from this.
Okay. All right. Good answer, my G Football Critic. Now, all right. We're going to move on to the next topic here tonight, brother. And we're going to talk about the first media availability of 2024. Now, earlier this week on the 18th, the fans, they got the first taste of quotes from Driussi and Coach Wolff. The media was able to speak with Wolff for, I'd say, about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe a little less. And also, this was a bit of a curveball. I didn't expect Driussi to be one of the first players to speak to the media this season. He got to speak to, well, the media got to speak with him for about 8 to 10 minutes, somewhere around there. Maybe it was like 9. But I want to get started off with Coach Wolff and what he had to say, because there was some interesting stuff. He talked about his strategy and his tactics and whatnot, and signings. Signings was a big emphasis, like about mainly around the number of players that we have right now. And this is one of the quotes. Quote, we're utilizing 6, 7, 8 guys from the ATX2 team. So we're thin on numbers. There's no doubt about it. We'll need players to get here, and we'll welcome them as they get here. But he'll, Rodolfo Borrell, do it in a responsible way. Now, the other one that we noted, this is another quote on Rodo. It says, quote, he's extremely hungry as a person for success. He's a doer. He's active. He's in our training sessions, out in the field, watching, in the coach's room, reviewing. He's a great resource for feedback and direction. Now, there's other things that he said for Critic, but I want to just note those first, because you and I both agreed that it seems like Wolff is putting all the pressure of new signings on Rodolfo Borrell, and he's saying, hey, I'm not in charge of any of these guys coming in. If you got any issues, direct it to the department of Rodolfo Borrell as sporting director. Wolff is saying he's done with that job. He's just the coach now. So do you agree with pretty much that narrative of Wolff saying, hey, this is all on Rolo now?
I think so. I think that's a feeling I'm getting, and I think that's what's happening. I think Wolff is not having a saying on the signings. I think everything is Rodo. And it kind of, I don't want to say worries me, but it has me really intrigued, I would say. Because think about this. If the coach that is the mind on how you're going to play, right, or all of the tactics and strategy and whatnot, has no idea who he's going to get, what type of player he's going to get, how can he really have a game plan? I'm sure Wolff is gonna have a game plan for this preseason with the players that he has right now. Let's say, just an example, let's say Rodo does get Borja. Borja comes in. Now Wolff has to adapt to using Borja and make the team feed or the style for it to work with Borja. And I don't know about you, but I haven't seen much adaptability from Wolff, right? So is it really good to have a sporting director alone make the signings without really much involvement from the coach? I'm not saying Josh doesn't have a single word. No, I'm pretty sure they talk somehow, right?
Hmm.
But it does feel like Rodo is the sole one, like looking for those signings, and Josh is just waiting to see what he's getting and how he can make that work.
That's very interesting, mate. And I haven't really seen it like that, but you do kind of bring up a good point in the sense like, hey, if you don't know what you're getting, how can you have a game plan? And that's kind of going with what this next quote is here. This is what Wolff says on his strategies and tactics. After adding some new players, he says we have to be conscious of giving new information to an entire group. We're thin on numbers, so we got to be sure what we're giving is received well. I'm pleased with some of the guys and how they've come in. He also goes on to say this about CJ. He says CJ Fodry is coming in extremely fit, so the competition inside the group will be healthy. We'll add players certainly as Rodo gets that across the finish line, whether it's now in the summer or in the off season. But the guys that are here are ready to go. Interesting note there, Football Critic. He puts it out into three windows. He says whether it's now, preseason, in the summer, that's the June window, in the off season, that's next year. That's three windows right there that Wolff is saying that Rodo is going to take to build this team. It's not something that's breaking news. We kind of knew it, but now this is Wolff pretty much presenting us the information to our face with actual quotes. Now, I wanted to ask you this question, mate, and this kind of going on CJ Fodry. Would you be able to consider CJ Fodry as a new player? Because Wolff is hinting at having a very small group. CJ Fodry making that group, he's in there. We're already counting on him. But can fans look at him and think, hey, this is a new signing for the season? Because he didn't play much last year. He got a couple minutes here and there, right? Garbage minutes, as some folks may say. But him coming in as a player that's already acclimated into the squad, he doesn't really need to be introduced. The guys know him. This is his first full preseason with the first team, right? Now he's a first team player. Is he a new signing? Can he be considered a new signing?
I think so. I mean, at first it's kind of weird because he has been with us and he has already played with us. He got those garbage minutes. But think about it. Can you really tell me how JC plays for the senior team? I don't think you can give a solid answer. CJ, sorry, yeah. I don't think you can give a solid answer because we saw way too few minutes of him playing, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like if I haven't seen a player be like, I haven't seen his personality on the field. I haven't seen him do in a fair length of minutes what his qualities are. Not in MLS Next Pro, because we all saw him in MLS Next Pro, but in MLS, I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna be excited. I want to see what he has to offer to the senior team, when he's gonna be brought in, when he's gonna help. Because if a guy like Owen was able to help this team for this long, I think he can also help us a lot, especially while we are not signing any more players as of now.
Well, CJ Fodry, if we can consider him a new signing or not, like one of those new transfers, he still makes a small group. You know what I'm saying? We still need more players in this squad, more numbers. So CJ Fodry can come in extremely fit. He can be a new addition onto the wing. Doesn't change the fact that we still need more players, but he's a good addition into this team. Hopefully he proves us right, what we're saying here tonight on the Top Flight Pod, but anything can happen. The season is very long, and like you said, Football Critic, the jump can be difficult for some players. And CJ just looks like a real focused kind of guy, and I pretty much have faith in him. I'm very confident in saying that. Now, another quote here. This one is very interesting because this was Wolff when he was asked about Sebastian Driussi's captaincy. Wolff says this, quote, "We have a lot of leaders inside the team. I don't think there's one leader on our squad. I don't think there's a big emphasis on stressing who a captain is at this point." Football Critic, do you think this coming year we will have a new captain? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so. At least when it comes to wearing the armband, no, I think it's going to still be Driussi. Vocally, it's probably like Wolff said, there's a lot of guys that talk. Stuver is one, Finley is one. I'm sure even Danny, you have seen Danny talk to players on the field during games. So you just know Seba he doesn't know English. I mean, he needs a translator next to him every single time. So he just talks when he plays, how he plays. So no, I'll say Seba is still the captain. He's still gonna be looking for those goals, those moments to score. But he's still gonna be the captain.
Seba seems to get away with it. He's still getting away with not knowing English, and I think he knows more than he lets off because in the interview with Hercules Gomez and Sebastian Salazar during All-Star Week, I think it was All-Star Week, Driussi, towards the end of the interview, it's Hercules Gomez who asked the question, or I'm sorry, it's Sebastian Salazar who asked the question in English, and Hercules Gomez translates it in Spanish for Driussi. But in one of the last questions that was asked, Driussi cuts off Hercules Gomez and he just answers Sebastian Salazar's English question right off the bat. And they say, "Hey, you were just toying with us." And Driussi says that he knows English a little bit. So, you know, the fact that he does still need a translator next to him, maybe he just wants to be extremely sure of what he says and what he is being asked. So I don't blame him that. But I would like to see, maybe a little bit more effort in there, like Redes was putting into. I think Cecilio and Redes were taking English classes, but it'd be interesting to see if Driussi was taking classes like that.
Yeah, no,
But
I agree.
talking
Like,
about, go ahead,
uh,
bro.
no, just I agree. Jersey, even if he's not the captain, he's still the star of this team,
one
right?
Hundred
He's
percent.
still that big star, that big DP with all those millions. I mean, he has to communicate not only with his team but with follow with the fans, with the media. He has to create that link. And last year he was. I could only say we had him because I saw him through the TV, on the games. But that's it.
Hmm.
I never really saw him outside of the field.
See,
So
he is a very private person. That's what I hear. He's very quiet, very chill, very just conservative with his time and whatnot. But hey, it is what it is. But on the Juicy topic, he had quotes in the media availability as well, and we'll get into him. We talked about Wolff and what he had to say. We give our takes. Now we talk about Juicy real quick. Now this was one of his quotes, pretty much. I don't know if this is a dig at the squad size, not the players, but the squad size, or if he's just kind of just telling us that he's kind of frustrated with how things are going with player signings right now. Because this is his quote. He says, "We know the hard work they put into everything. They were champions last year. There are players that are very interesting to us, especially now that we have such a small team. They will help us with whatever is coming in the future." And that was Drusi on the Austin FC2 players that are in preseason with the team. We've seen Chicture, we've seen Salvatore Mazzaferro, Alonso, Ramirez, Sebastian Pinot, Spencer Louis Jean, and Damian Loss, right? We've seen a bunch of those kids now grown men or young men, as you can say, but they're in training with the first team for preseason. Now there is rumors here and there that there could be some of those kids that make the jump officially into the first team. Guys like Chicture, maybe guys like Sebastian Pinot, because of the needs at the positions that they play. But to you, football critic, does this sound like a frustrated Drusi, or is he just saying, "Hey, we got a small team. It is what it is. We'll get new guys." But or is this a frustrated player?
I think, uh, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's like he's frustrated as he's complaining at the club, but he's definitely not happy about, like, how can you expect to compete? Like, he's 27. He's
Hmm.
in his peak years, right? Are you wasting your peak year in a team that doesn't even have enough players to compete for a title, for a cup? I mean, they want to win. Don't get me. He said it. They want to win a trophy. Uh, but can the team do it? He's wasting a whole year. If we don't get any signings, any good signings, any good restructures this year, he's wasting this year of his life playing to maybe get into playoffs. And competitive guys, like stars like that, like Driussi, they don't want to just maybe get into playoffs. They want to compete. They want to do something with their lives, right? So I guess that's the frustration that you can see in him.
Interesting, mate. This guy is a winner. I could tell this guy wants to win. There's been photos that have been released in the offseason and preseason of him privately training. He's in training with the team, but he's also privately training, I believe. I don't know if it's still going on, but if those photos were when he was in Argentina, I don't know exactly where that studio is at where he's been working out, but they were shared on the We Arsenal TV Instagram story. 24 hours ago, somewhere like that. So hopefully they're still up. You can check it out. But Driussi's training on his own, training with the team. That's to me, that's a guy that wants to be in a winning team, that wants to win trophies. And he was asked this by Michelle Sanchez, Austin FC reporter, on his individual objectives. And Driussi said this is what he said, quote, make goals, help the team, compete for MVP, win the Golden Boot, and aim to bring a title home, which would be something very special. He's telling the fans right then and there, winning a trophy, winning a major championship for this club, for the city, would be very special to him. So, I don't think that he's a player that's just here to make money. He's on a very interesting contract. Some folks might say that he gets too much, but I don't put a number on his talent or on his services, if I may. I think this guy's very talented, Futbol Critic. And if we're going to win a trophy anytime soon, it has to be with Sebastian Driussi. An Open Cup, an MLS Cup, Leagues Cup, whatever. It needs to be with Sebastian Driussi. So it's good to know that he's in good spirits, or good to see that he's in good spirits in preseason. He's dropping these quotes. But before I go on to the next quote by Driussi, is there anything you want to add on him, pretty much speaking on his individual objectives?
I just think the fact that he still said that, he maybe said it because, that's what you say to the media. You don't want to say, I don't want to compete for anything. I'm not expecting a cup. But the fact that he said it, and the fact that he mentioned all of his individual goals for this season tells me that, hey, I mean, let's be honest. If he gets Golden Boot, if he gets MVP, that's only good for us. So the fact that he wants to get to that point, and that helps the team, and that maybe helps us to get somewhere this season, I can only be excited about that. I want that motivation to, and I don't want that motivation to die at any given point in this season. I want him to be motivated for that Golden Boot, for that MVP all season long.
And he did get a taste, maybe just a little bit of that Golden Boot, but Hani Mukhtar ended up beating him in that season that Austin FC had. But another quote from Driussi. Now, this one was very honest, Sebastian Driussi. He says the team did not compete in any competition they were in last season. He also mentioned how the team is preparing in the best way for 2024. That quote was in Spanish, but we did translate it via an Instagram reel. You can check it out on the Western TV Instagram page. But Futbol Critic, this guy Driussi just being very honest from the get-go, telling the media, hey, we didn't compete. Last season was a bust. But, coming into this year, we want to make things right. We want to get into the playoffs. We've been talking about Driussi for a couple minutes here, but what are your thoughts on him just coming out and showing us maybe one of the most honest versions of him and saying, hey, last season we were poor?
Well, I mean, all of this just reminds me of Eric telling us that we got humbled.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
funny.
and maybe that's a good thing. We came out of 2022 feeling amazing because we'd reached the Western Conference final and we were amazing. Driussi almost unfairly didn't win the MVP and all of that. And then 2023 just brought us back to reality, right? So the fact that they know that, the fact that the team wasn't good at all of last season, and they know it, and they know they need to get better, and they want to get better. It's a good sign for me. It's only good that they know how bad they were, and they know how much they need to improve. And this goes from even FCito players to Josh and Rodo. This goes to all of the club. They know they need to get better.
I agree, mate. Honestly, and Danny also hinted at that in the Telemundo Deportes interview. He said how they, just how we talked earlier, how they needed to get better, they need to be focused. To know it's not going to be easy, because it's not just a walk in the park to say, hey, this year we're going to be better. No, it's not that simple. You have to put in the work, you have to put in the time in the gym, in the field, and make sure that everybody is bought into the same idea. Because if we have half of these players bought in and half of these players, focus on other things or not focus on their football, then we have a big problem. But I'm seeing good things coming from preseason right now. I'm seeing a lot of good things, a lot of good things being said. But those are just words. We need to see actions, and we'll see those actions here soon because we're going to talk about preseason game coming up here in a bit. But to end this topic, Futbol Critic, what was your biggest takeaway from what Driussi and Coach Wolff had to say? I mean, if there's one thing that you can take out of this and say that was my biggest takeaway, what is it?
From Wolff, my biggest take is that like we just discussed. He's confirming that Rodo is the one doing all of the signings.
Okay.
Right. To me, that's what I take the most. Like, okay, let's all look at Rodo and see what he does, what he's doing, and how this team is gonna build from Rodo's decision. Then after the signings, we'll worry about what Wolff will do with those signings. But for now, it's all eyes on Rodo now. And Driussi, I'll just take that he was the one to talk to the media very first day. Danny has been this year the face of the club so far. I'm happy that Driussi was the one to talk to the media. What was it, 2 days ago? So I'm happy
18th,
about that. On the 18th, yeah. So I'm happy that it was Driussi. I'm happy that he talked and he spoke well, even though it was freezing. You could tell that he had his hands hurting, but he stood there and he responded. He replied. He answered to every single question well, and I want to see more of that. So I'm just happy that
100%.
we're seeing somewhat a different Driussi this year.
I like that. I like that. And, we have been told that Driussi is, just like I mentioned earlier, he's very shy, he's very quiet, he's very private with his life. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But, the fans, everybody, the media, they all want to hear from Driussi. He is the main guy that they want to hear from. He is the captain of this team, right? I mean, possibly. I don't know what's going to happen if that changes, but he is the superstar of this team. He's the franchise player of this team. So the media and the fans love to hear what he has to say. And I agree with you. Him coming out and speaking to the media on day one of media availability just stands out 100%. That really is a good sign for what's to come, because this is a bit of a new Driussi. But all right, bro. Moving into the next topic we have here tonight, and pretty much is the preseason. It begins on Tuesday, rolling right into that. The team will travel to Fort Lauderdale to face off against Philadelphia in what will be the first preseason match of 2024. As of now, the only new signings, Futbol Critic, are Obrian, Cleveland, Jimmy, a.k.a. Bryant Farcarlun, and the FCito boys, you can say. CJ Fadri, maybe you can add that in there, right? So they play them, Philadelphia, what was that, on the 23rd, and then 3 days later on the 26th, the team will play FC Cincinnati in Florida as well. Important to note, we might see Kip Keller in rival colors for the first time against us. So, Futbol Critic, let's park the bus real quick. What do you want to see from the preseason matches against Philly and Cincy? Like, what do you want to walk away and say, hey, I like that I saw this from both of these games?
Well, first of all, to clarify, we also had one more signing, Guilherme Biru, right?
My fault, Guilherme Biru.
But he's not in the States yet, not as far as we know. So for obvious reasons, he is not going to be part of these preseason matches. So taking that into account, what I want to see, look, obviously I want to win. To win, you got to score goals. So I want to win. But if we lose, I want to lose 4-3. I want to lose 3-2. I want to see us scoring goals. That's what I want. I want to see ideas, because we still only have one striker. We still don't have many. And my biggest problem, and all of our biggest problems last year, was the chances that we didn't create. We didn't have any ideas. We didn't have, and we know our defensive problems, and of course those need to be worked at. But to win, you gotta score goals, and we didn't last year. So I wanna. If I'm going to lose, I want to lose 4-3, 5-4. I want to see that our team has the capability of scoring.
Well, Futbol Critic, if you would have had that prediction or that take last year, you would have been spot on, because we lost to Philly and Cincy 3-2. But there were ideas. There were goals scored in those matches. Cascante scored. Zardes was scoring. David Rodriguez and Valentin Noel were getting balls into the back of the net. Only one of those kids is still in the system. Noel, obviously. David Rodriguez, important to note, Futbol Critic. I don't think he's made his debut yet in Liga MX with San Luis, but he's been on team sheets for them. And he hasn't got the minutes yet, but he has those famous triple-digit numbers on the back of his jersey, signaling that he's one of those youngins in Liga MX. But I just wanted to, throw that out there, those results from last season, 3-2 against Philly and Cincinnati. But they were showing good signs at the moment. And pretty much that's what you're saying, right? You want to see good things from these matches.
Yeah, I mean, and you said it like Valentin Noel and Rodriguez. They scored, right? So yeah, but then we never saw them. We really never saw them with the senior team. So,
Yeah.
but that's what
True.
I want to see. I want to see those ideas. I want to see Sardes, Rigoni, Driussi. I want to see our main guys scoring. I want to see those
For
that
sure.
that we evolved from that,
Especially Rigoni. Especially. No, all right.
especially Rigoni. Yeah.
Especially him. I have a question for you here. Now, the team has put a huge emphasis on having a good performance in preseason since it sets the tone for what's to come. Are you confident that this team will have a proper preseason with the small number of players that they currently have? Because everybody always says you need to have the proper preseason. You got to have a proper preseason. Well, we don't have that many guys. I mean, are you confident this will be a good one?
Not really, especially because how was it Driussi or Wolff said that we were utilizing the 6, 7, 8 FC2 players.
Both of those guys made emphasis
Both, yeah.
to touch up on that.
And the thing is, they said it in a sense that they just need the bodies. That in training they can't do 5v5, 6v6, 7v7 because they don't have the bodies. So they're bringing the FC2 players up, but a lot of those FC2 players that are brought up for the training aren't really gonna be used in the season, right? Regular season. So it can happen somewhat with Valentin Noel. You know, yeah, they can work in the team and they can do something in preseason, but if you're not gonna use them in regular season, then what good is that? And also, yes, you're trying for preseason, you get ideas, you get a game plan, but then you got Guilherme Biru coming.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the summer you got Mikel coming, allegedly, right? Not confirmed.
Correct.
Um, we need, I mean, we must have some strikers coming. So it's kind of hard for you to say that a few games in preseason is going to tell how the rest of the season is going to be like. Most what I would take from preseason is not really the results, but the attitude, the willingness and the emotion that the players put on the field, and see their hunger for this year.
I like that, my G Football Critic. Now, we're going to fast forward to February 3rd. The team will face off against Louisville City FC at home. Important to note, Louisville City will be maybe Damian Loss's new loan team. We'll see if that actually goes through per David Demasi. Now, and then we go to February 7th. We face Chicago Fire in Coachella. February 11th, the LA Galaxy. We face them in Coachella. That'll be Diego Fagundes' number 7 match versus Austin FC. He is now the LA Galaxy's number 7 player. And then Valentine's Day, February 14th, we play Red Bulls New York, again in Coachella, part of that invitational tournament there. Moving forward to the 17th of February, we receive New York City FC here at home. It will be played at St. David's Performance Center. I know some folks thought that maybe it'll be at Q2, but I think it was confirmed to be at the St. David's. And then the home opener, February 24th against Minnesota, which I will not back down off of and say this is a must-win game. Must win 100%. But that's what's in the future. That's what's coming in the future for Austin FC. Now, just to put maybe the last word on this topic, Football Critic, anything else you want to say on the preseason games that are coming for Austin FC? Because it's about to get real.
Just a reminder that Kip Keller went to FC Cincinnati. So seeing him against us in preseason, I mean, if since we're not gonna play them in regular season, I believe I wouldn't mind a back pass, but yeah, that's just me.
Yo, savage Football Critic. I'm sorry. Hey, I shouldn't be laughing, but that was hilarious. That was awesome. All right. Mate, we're going to move on to Radovanovic to La Liga. Now, this is a little bit of a crossover between Austin FC world and European top flight conversation because this has to do with an ex-loan player of ours and top La Liga team Almeria. I'm kidding. They're actually bottom right now. But all right. Ex-loan Austin FC player Alexander Radovanovic, more commonly known as Rado, has been signed on a free transfer, y'all, by La Liga side and contender for relegation, Almeria. He will be there for a season and a half, according to reports coming from Spain. This caused Austin FC fans to rage on social media, Football Critic, over Wolff and the FO missing on yet another quality player. The fans' main frustration, from what I saw, was focused on Austin not extending the loan or buying Rado flat out and signing him long term to stay here in Austin. Now, it is important to note, Football Critic, that Rado's loan had an option for purchase, but it was not picked up by Austin FC. I know a lot of fans were saying, "Oh, we didn't even have a purchase option." It did. It did have a purchase option, and it was not exercised, obviously. Now, there were injury concerns for Austin FC with Radovanovic. His shoulder situation was always something that needed to be looked at. It popped out, and he would pop it back in himself. It was a very weird situation. And I'm sure the team maybe just didn't want to deal with it long term. I don't know what the situation was there. And also there was the stuff with his partner, his wife or his girlfriend, but it is his partner. She apparently hated Texas. She did not like Austin. I don't know why. It's one of the best cities in the world. But there's no doubt about that if he would have stayed Football Critic, that he would have definitely improved the backline for Austin FC. Now, Rado was making 600,000 in Austin whenever he was here. He was getting paid 600,000, and then months later, the club signed Matt Hedges on a trade deal from Toronto. They sent 475,000 in GAM to Toronto. We received Matt Hedges, and then later on in the spring, we saw the report come out with all the numbers of how much players were getting paid, and we were informed that Hedges was on or is on 900,000 a season. So he's more expensive than Rado. So I'm going to ask you, where do you stand on this, mate? Did Austin FC miss big on Radovanovic, or was it just, it's just something that naturally just had to happen? He wasn't going to stay because some folks think that. Where are you at?
Yeah, I wouldn't pin this on the club. I mean, Radovanovic came first of all because he was having a horrible time at his parent club. He fought with a coach. I mean, Radovanovic was 29, and the coach sent him to the B team. I mean, the guy he had a really bad time in his parent club. So if a team from MLS comes and tells you, hey, come to America and I'll pay you your salary 600K, come to play to get minutes with us for a while, I'm saying yes, right? So yeah, they maybe moved here while waiting for his contract to run up, while waiting for that coach to leave, right? We don't know. And then even if that's not the case, even if he did come hoping maybe for staying in the US, staying in MLS, staying in Austin, the wife, the family, that's extremely, extremely important. If the wife hated Texas, because it wasn't in a Instagram story that she said like, thankfully we're going back, or thank God we're going back, or something like that. So
it was on her YouTube comments. She's like a YouTuber. She does content. I'm sure like her life as maybe a partner of a soccer player. I know that life can be pretty fun, pretty crazy. And I think she just blogs like her life. And in the YouTube comments is where she said that thankfully we're returning.
Yeah. So you can tell that she just wanted to leave. And I know you can argue, and I agree with you, that there was a time when Wolff wouldn't play Rodo. Instead, he would play Lima as CB, right? Mm-hmm. Which obviously you'd say, hey, if this coach is playing Lima, a short guy, at CB, while he has me, why do I want to stay? And that also makes sense. But if you only count the wife not wanting to stay in Texas, not wanting to stay in Austin, there's nothing you can do. The club cannot make an unilateral decision of saying I'm buying him. No, the player needs to want to stay, and that wasn't the case for us. Sadly, that wasn't the case for Radovanovic. I loved him. I really enjoyed him as a CB. There were some liabilities because although we loved that he dislocated his shoulder and then popped it back in and kept playing, which was amazing, that's just a long-term injury waiting to happen. And so we really need another center back that could get injured for a long period of time. So, I loved him, and he has a lot of quality, but I wouldn't pin this on the club. Like, this is just how things happen. This is just how things were. And, I'm just happy that he can maybe have a better future in Spain right now.
So you think the easier option obviously was to go after Matt Hedges, send some money to Toronto. No. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it kind of was the easiest move. It was easier to go after him. It's not the best move, I'm saying, but I think it was easier to turn an eye to Rado and say, hey, that's a long-term injury. We're gonna have to deal with him maybe not wanting to be here, him being unhappy half of the time, and then you turn around and you see there's a Matt Hedges that is a proven MLS defender, MLS veteran, and he wants out of Toronto. He has family in Texas. So to me, that was the easier move to go after Matt Hedges. Now, it wasn't the better move. I think Rado
Well,
has
if
more quality. He's younger, but I think Austin took the easy way out on that one.
I don't know if it was the only way out, but that trade, that deal made no sense to me
I agree.
whatsoever.
I agree.
I mean, a guy with such a huge a high salary for 2 years with an option for third, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, what is that? No, I'm sorry. That was Matt Hedges. That election that was no, that didn't make sense to me. You could go with any other, just a regular all right CB to fill in the spot while your injured CB got fit. That's all you need. I don't get why we got Hedges.
Well, he's going to be here for a while, I think, and he's making a little under a milli from Austin FC. So it is what it is. Now, I know a lot of fans on social media were very upset, bringing up Rado, saying, hey, if he's good enough for La Liga, how is he not good enough for MLS side Austin FC? But, we were talking about it. It is important to note that Almeria is not, the biggest team in La Liga. They did play today. Some folks are saying that they were robbed against Real
They
Madrid.
were robbed.
They
Yeah.
were Some folks can say they were robbed against Real Madrid. Radovanovic, he did not play. He was not on the team sheet, but the coach later came out and said that he still needs to take his medical test and do some paperwork, but that should only take a couple of days, and he'll probably be back. He'll probably be with the team for the next match day, but it won't be a illustrious matchup against Real Madrid. It'll probably be, I don't know who their next match is, but it'll be different. But let's see, Football Critic, is there anything else we can add on Rado, joining Almeria, Austin FC missing out on him? You did say that you wouldn't put it all on the club, but I mean, we can't just say that the club hasn't missed out on some good players because of
Oh
some
no,
bad
they
business.
definitely have. Yeah, no, they 100% have missed out on good players. And like I said, I really enjoyed Rado, and if it were up to me, I wanted to see more of him. I think for the time we had him, we didn't use him enough. Like I said, putting Limas at CB while we had him made no sense to me. But I just wish him, like I'm really happy to see him in Almeria. That even though they're fighting for relegation, I'm happy and I really hope that he can get the minutes that he couldn't get in Belgium or in MLS.
Oh, Radovanovic, what could have been him and his shoulder. It would have been something special. It would have been something special, mate. Now,
Hyping up the
uh,
crowd.
yes, dude. And it's so funny because he was like trying to hype up the crowd and the ball was still in play.
Yeah. There was just like a danger of someone scoring a goal on us, and the guy was just looking at the crowd, hyping them up. Just, oh man.
Oh man, dude, those times were crazy for Austin FC, man. It was crazy. But all right, Matt Hedges, he did join Austin FC in July, looks like, and Radovanovic, I'm trying to find when he signed for Austin FC. Okay, he made
I
his
thought in
debut in
March,
May.
right?
May.
Yeah.
Oh, probably he made his debut in May. I have
Yeah,
here.
but that he was another case of we signed him, but then he had to wait for his visa and then to
It's
get
true.
for Wolff to play him. So I think it was late March, but I don't remember 100%.
Yeah, it probably was late March, and he made his debut in May. So that's awesome. Not May 12th, but May 10th. May 12th was the time that Austin FC posted the photo. They take a little bit of time there. But all right, mate. Looks like we're at the end of tonight's episode for Critic. I mean, is there anything you want to add on the notes that we touched up on today? I know we have a preseason game coming up, and we'll cover that when it gets here, and we might have a Twitter space and whatnot. But before we sign off, is there anything else you want to add tonight, bro?
I'm waiting on that unsigned striker. I'm waiting. I'm so nervous about us not having a striker that's not Sardis. Um, that being said, I hope Pinot does well. Personally, I wouldn't bet that his dad ready for MLS. I wouldn't bet on him being, that even a good sub.
Mhm.
But I want to see what he has. I want to see his development at a higher level. I want to see him do well this preseason. So I'm happy, and I want to see. I'm just happy to finally be expecting something from the club after this off season.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, now it is important to know that Borja kind of dropped a little bit of a hint of his future. He kind of sounds like he's staying with River. So Austin FC fans, we'll probably talk about him here soon if there's more information released. But as of right now, there's a little quote going around social media where Borja sounds like he's staying at River because of the support he's been getting from the fans and the support for his family. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for joining us here tonight. We'll be back with more Austin FC coverage and more of top flight world football. Hernan, that's my G Football Critic, and we'll see you soon. Later, everybody.